New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. Hello, beloved. And being a Jersey girl, you might expect to hear from me saying something like, "How you doing?" But I don't do that. I say, "How are you, beloved?" Welcome. And I see we already have some listeners here. Good morning, everybody, and good day. And I continue to be excited about the individuals that I invite onto the show. And today is not different. Today I have an old friend, and I'll share my story with him once he comes on the show. But I have a very good friend coming on today, a colleague and a brother in spirit. Please join me in welcoming the Reverend Dr. Bill Marchiony of New Thought, Philadelphia. Come on in, Bill.
Hi, Michelle. It's wonderful to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you. It's good. So what I like to do is when I have someone that, good morning, everybody. Hi, Mo. When I have somebody with whom I've had a relationship, I like to give the story. So I like to give that because it really matters to me. Bill was key in the largest East Coast teen group that existed at one point. Things changed. Let's just say things changed. And Bill at that time was a beautiful, beautiful mentor to my third son, who his name is Seth. And at the time, he was allowed to be in the teen group a little young because he had been around the teaching so long. And he was particularly mature, but he really needed some mentoring. And this beloved man sitting in front of you, this beloved man, took my Seth under his wings, loved him, along with the Reverend Joanne McFadden. I got to say, mention her too, and her husband, Scott. And they just loved on him. Oh, and Julie Lobato, if I remember correctly. You were all doing it together at the time. Not everybody was ministers yet. And they just loved on my son. And so you have lived in my heart for all these years. So he's 24 now. For 12 years, you've lived in my heart for 12 years because of that. So, Bill's very close to me, and I'm so glad that you're with me today. And I'm very proud of you. Not that I produced you. I am so impressed with your work, your ministry, and I would love for you to come in, tell us a little bit about it, tell us what you've been doing and what you're passionate about.
The list is so long. But first of all, a shout out right back to you, Michelle, because when I found myself studying ministry, I got myself some mentors. In fact, you kind of pressed yourself on me as a mentor because you learned some things in your ministry training, and on your path, and you wanted to make sure that somebody shared that with you. So you were very helpful in understanding what the ministry was going to be for us, and in creating some of the specific stuff we're doing. You coached me and my partner, Reverend Dave, in how to teach the 4 agreements.
Oh, right.
And you gave us an assignment. You say you guys have to agree on a definition of gossip. And it took us 9 years.
Wow, that was quite the assignment.
Well, we didn't wait.
What was the definition? What did you come up with?
The definition that I came up with is gossip is anytime we're talking about somebody else, especially if they're not there, for any reason other than their direct benefit. Like Jay fell in the lake is gossip, but we need to go rescue Jay because he fell in the lake is not gossip because that's helping him. So that's what we got to with gossip.
Right, right.
But it
not a popular idea, because that makes the category for gossip enormous.
Oh yeah.
And I know a lot of people reel against those kind of definitions because we used to have one too that was similar in its scope. So,
so you have been instrumental all along the path. So huge gratitude back to you. So currently it's New Thought Philadelphia, and I had day jobs in technology and marketing and so forth for years and years. About a year ago, December of 2019, I left the technology thing so that I could do New Thought Philadelphia full time. Actually, I was doing it full time anyway. I just had another full time job, and it was kind of overwhelming. And focused on the spiritual work. Got myself a practitioner office in Center City, Philadelphia, where I would see clients every Thursday, and got myself a nice little routine going. And then this little pandemic came along, kind of changed the rules for everybody. So we immediately went online. So I do a meditation twice a day, 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. It's on Zoom. There's one a day on the weekends. And I have been doing that every day since March 12th or 13th.
Wow. Talk about commitment.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to be connected in community that way. And there are people who are regulars, who'll come by, and we do it on Zoom, and it's interactive. So it's not me like shouting at people, and they're also really short. And of course, knowing me, they're also kind of fun. So, we chat for a few minutes, see what's going on with everybody who's in the group, and then kind of come to consensus about what we want the meditation and the prayer to be on. We do that. It's a couple of minutes in silence, and it takes 15 minutes for the whole thing. And it's often refreshing, and it's wonderful. And
if somebody wants to join you, where can they find you for that?
The information on all that stuff is on the website, newthoughtphilly.org. And that's the community meditation, prayer, and check-in with the picture of the girl who we met on the internet in the stock photo library pointing at a screen. And we immediately, March 8th was our last in-person Sunday celebration. We when we're together, we meet on the Penn campus in University City in Philadelphia. So we needed to go virtual. And because I had spent all the time that I did in technology, and I'd been doing Zoom meetings 4 or 5 times a day for the last 5 years, we just went to Zoom. And we are doing the same celebration that we had been doing, where there's fellowship, and there's meditation, there's live original music. We do 6 songs every Sunday morning with a whole stable of musicians. And stuff, from my past that I think I'd need again. Like, I was in radio for 10 years and a recording engineer and et cetera. And it turns out now that's important as we're coaching the musicians into how to sound good on Zoom so that we can have it be an interactive process and live stream. So really leveraging all of that stuff. So that's taking spirituality and technology and the circumstances that we're handed and making the most of it.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's I always like to say something in support of ministers in general, because most of the audience are not people who are in ministry. They might not even be people who attend a center anywhere. But the thing I always like to say is, please don't ever underestimate what it takes when you show up at a meditation, a Sunday celebration. When I know 20 years ago when I started, just the science of how to place chairs. What kind of music to use when, lighting, cameras. I mean, we start down this road, right? We start down this road because we're inspired and we're filled with spirit and we want to be this, God ordained kind of thing. And then, uh, you know, and then you're figuring out how to do a newsletter. And so, so I just say to everyone out there, please appreciate every minister who sits before you because they have to be often an expert in so many more things than you could ever possibly imagine. And I just want to take a quick minute here, Bill, if you're just tuning in, you've come into Jersey Girl Wisdom, and we're here every week. I'm Rev Jersey Girl or Michelle Wadleigh, however you want to refer to me. And this is New Thought Media Network, and we have been going now. My show has been alive for I don't know, a few months now, and it's been glorious. And this community, they have now over 20 hours of weekly programming in addition to their 24/7 music. You really want to find them because putting their music on in the background means you will always listen to music that lifts and inspires you. So think about them often, use their services, and then reward them with your dollars. Remember, we vote with our dollars, right, Bill?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. PayPal is magical.
Yes, yes. So I know that a passion that you and I share, and I quickly looked for a book at service, but my husband and I we're about to have work done in the house, so I had to pack up most of my books. Captain Michelle. Um, but I wanted to grab a book. I wanted to read to you from something, and I couldn't find it. And I know that you and I share a passion about prayer, or call it treatment. Sometimes I refer to it as prayer treatment. And you've had something moving through you for years with that. I'd like you to tell people about your God calls and anything else about prayer that you'd like us to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I started doing teaching, I wanted to find a primer on how to do spiritual mind treatment, complete with examples. And I went through a couple of iterations. Started out being Mad Libs for prayer, but they just got too goofy. So I wrote a book called Practical Prayer for Real Results. And if people wonder what a practical prayer is, it's a spiritual mind treatment. Because I noticed that as I got into New Thought and religious science, people would have a conversation. Two people who had been members of a community for a while would have a conversation with each other with a newbie listening in. And one would say, oh, I was having an issue, so I went to a practitioner to have a spiritual mind treatment so I could manifest a demonstration. And their friend would go, great. And the newbie would say, what the hell are you talking about? It's a fabulous teaching. It's a wonderful technology. Ernest Holmes did a spectacular job with spiritual mind treatment.
Yes.
But he also languaged it in a way that he was trying to muscle in between homeopathy and osteopathic medicine and Western medicine.
And while coming away from the Christian dogma.
Right. So, so I know what a spiritual mind treatment is, but the people who don't know what a spiritual mind treatment is, you shouldn't have to learn the language so they can start to learn about the spiritual mind treatment.
Right.
The other thing is that, when we were taught how to do a treatment, we number the steps. And of course, there are 5 steps in a spiritual mind treatment, unless there need to be 7 steps in a spiritual mind treatment, which means what is step number 6? So we came up with some icons. And in the book, I got a copy of it here, in Practical Prayer for Real Results.
That's somewhere.
We have icons. So, there's the icons of the steps for recognition, unification, and so forth. So it's the new language of New Thought, and we're teaching it. It's the same thing with a different language. And I find that I'm teaching in dual language. So as we teach our practitioners, we teach them in the language of Practical Prayer for Real Results, because they're going to be practitioners who are, in community with other people from other New Thought, we also teach the Ernest Holmes language. And that's come in really handy. There's a sister community of ours in Wilmington, Delaware, Awakened Heart. And they're practitioner led. They don't have a minister. And haven't for quite some time. And two of the practitioners who had been teaching the practitioner classes retired and moved to Colorado. And they found themselves with some students and no teacher. So I'm now teaching a practitioner class at Awakened Heart with a couple of teaching assistants there who are practitioners who are going to learn how to teach it from me. And the class is getting the specifics of practical prayer and also the specifics about how Awakened Heart does it, and also the approved traditional religious science language. So it's kind of like it's kind of like having a multilingual household.
And I want to make sure that I mention here to everyone listening that New Thought Philly is an independent community that is associated with Anton and INTA, correct?
Right, as well as Emerson Theological Institute for our credentialing and the Association for Global New Thought, AGNT.
So you all should know that there are many sources for New Thought and metaphysics, and it's not the pigeonhole that you might think if you've only come through CSL, and of course there's unity in divine science and Christian science, that's kind of, although we are of their lineage, it's definitely, that's different. But there are many sources, many sources. So I, just want to point that out, because as we bring we are not the only, CSL is not the only community that has adopted and reveres the teaching of Ernest Holmes. And even though we are not a movement that worships, we do follow. We do emulate the teaching and the authority, because I got to tell you, when you go back into the textbook, often you read something, you swear that it's new in the book. So to have a document that feels new every time you read it is a really profound document. So even though Bill's community, New Thought Philadelphia, is independent, it is still expressing the science of mind in a very beautiful way. Tell us about God Call. And I know we have a recording. I love that we have this for you today.
Okay. And just to follow up on what you're saying, religious science ministers think that there's a big difference between religious science and other branches of New Thought. And so do unity ministers and unity teachers, and so do the people in divine science. But when you go to an event like the International New Thought Alliance Conference and they have them all together, you realize that the ministers who have done two of them think they're all the same. There's shades of difference between them, and there are some things to celebrate. Gary Simons, who's part of Unity, says that we did an event. There were Unity people and divine science and religious science people at it. And he says, basically the difference is that religious science has really good music and Unity has Jesus. Just to summarize it. So anyway, for God Calls, which are just fun. Maybe a dozen years ago, the guys in my prayer group would just periodically call each other and just to say, hey, you're a bright light of love, and I'm grateful to know that you are something. And the person who was listening to it would just listen. You don't have to say anything back. You don't even have to say thank you. And we preface it by saying this is a God call. It's just a God call. And then decided to spread those out. So I started recording them and then got a voice broadcast system and let people subscribe to it. So this is what they started as. And I think there's now a library of 700 or 800 of them. So here's one from last week.
Okay, beautiful.
Here's Reverend Bill with your God Call.
Let's think for a moment about the needy, greedy flowers. Yeah, they sit there in the garden, sucking the nutrients out of the ground, drinking as much as they want, and just living off the sunshine. Those greedy flowers. Or maybe we can look at it in a different way. Instead of looking at what the flowers are taking, let's think about what the flowers are offering. They are blossoming, they are blooming, they are sharing beauty and fragrance and pollinating plants and just being a gift. And that's a cue for you. What are you going to do to blossom?
Beautiful.
So that's a
Beautiful.
God.
Lovely. And
Yeah.
someone can subscribe to that with you. Is that correct?
Yep. You go to godcall.org and you sign up for it. You get 2 weeks free to see if you're going to like it.
Okay.
And it's real old school. It comes in as a voice call on your phone. And the reason is to interrupt whatever it is that you've got going on. Some people let them go through to voicemail because they want to listen to it later, or because they want to have the library of them in their voicemail. But it turns out, as you know, same thing as happens when you do a talk on a Sunday morning, is that people are continuously saying, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to hear right then. How did you know? That's like,
Right.
just
So what does it cost for the subscription, Bill?
$5.95 a month. And there are 4 calls a week. They go out at random times, and we make sure that they don't come in when you're otherwise be sleeping.
Okay, so for those of you listening, for the cost of one medium-sized Starbucks coffee, you can get 4 calls a week reminding you that you are the presence of God and light and love and beauty. And what an incredible gift to have that come in. And I love what you just said, to interrupt the thought at the time. That if you're in a negative slide of any kind, to have that call come in and listen to it and go, oh, right. So please, I'm telling you, go get to Reverend Bill's website, or it's godcall.org.
Godcall.org. Yep, it's got its own thing.
Godcall.org. Sign up for that amount of money, and you will be pleased to have your limited thinking interrupted with a new idea. So that's just absolutely beautiful. One more quick commercial for us. So again, you are watching Jersey Girl Wisdom. Next week, by the way, we have Reverend Celeste Warner, a colleague of mine who she and I are on a big project together. We are launching, for those of you who are looking for the possibility of a new career, we are launching through Planned Happiness Institute the planned PHI Coaching Academy. So come next week, we're going to talk about why it's good to have a mentor and someone to hold your hand through all of life. But it's, so it's the PHI Coaching Academy. I look forward for you to be with us there next week. And behind the scenes here is Diego Reyes. Diego is the most beloved producer anyone could have. Diego, come on screen for just a sec. Let everybody see you. Maybe he's adjusting his there. He goes.
I wasn't ready.
You're probably adjusting your hair.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad. Thank you, Randall. I appreciate that.
Diego has a show happening on Saturday nights. I wanted to make sure that you put in your own little plug.
Oh, thanks for telling everybody about Spirit Says Sing. It's like an open mic every Saturday at 6. We open up the airwaves, just let everybody come on and join me in the studio and share whatever their gift is, however they want to shine.
Beautiful.
And you're going to come on this Saturday and open us up with a prayer. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm going to be praying us in on Saturday. And then Diego suggested that maybe I could sing a song, but I assured him that I love all of you too much to do that to you. And Reverend Bill said the same thing. So thank you, Diego. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego.
So what else is on your heart? What else is weighing on your heart, Bill?
The pandemic has just changed so many things. And, this is definitely a period of transformation. One of the things that's exciting, we've got vaccines now, and we're going to be going back to actually being able to meet people in person. And that's pulling on my heart. And the other thing is that what I've noticed is that at New Thought Philadelphia, we've got people who we've reconnected with that are taking part in our activities, whether it's classes or Sunday celebrations, from Arizona and New Orleans and even Portugal. And we're not going to let them go. So we are being very specific about when we get back in person, people are still going to be able to stay home in their jammies and participate as fully as they do when we're all on Zoom. So I found that I have a gift because I've spent so much time in technology and I really have an understanding of how the pieces fit together. So I know how to do that. And I'm offering that up to other spiritual communities to help them work out their plan or their technology. And it actually started because there are some kindred ministries where they were just struggling with something. They didn't have somebody who could fix the PayPal button on their website, or they kept getting horrible sound on their Sunday celebration, and so I'm able to help them out. And I do it the same way that I do practitioner work. It's just make myself available. We do a prayer, and then we work on technology instead of diving into their personal spiritual issues.
So if anyone listening is a minister, a practitioner, you're involved in your community, pay attention to what Reverend Bill just said. For the price of hiring a practitioner, which should be a high calling or highly respected for the calling that it is, he's willing to support you in your technology. Bill, you will be getting a call from us because we too are dedicated to making sure we had took a poll and said we would stay as a hybrid, and I am committed to being as equally available to our distant members now as the local members. I agree. Life changed this year,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a new normal, and we don't know what that is yet.
Right. That genie is not going back in the bottle.
Right. That's right. And and to be honest with you here, I'll get a little raw with you here, and maybe someone else listening. I adjusted real well when COVID hit. Number one, I'm an introvert, so telling me to stay in the house, not a problem. Okay. And I had been teaching on Zoom. We were an early subscriber on Zoom. So when COVID hit, we started teaching the numbers, of people who needed love and support. We did community calls. We did it with other centers. So we were up to speed and ready to go, not with your technology, your ease of technology, but through Zoom. And I have found a comfort, especially since I tell everybody all the time, I kind of apologize. I live across the street from my son and my grandchildren. My life has not been altered in a way that I've had to be that quarantined or away from people I love. I like to claim that it was consciousness. Let's just say I got lucky. But
what's the difference?
Yeah, maybe different, maybe 6 of one, half a dozen another. But I have to tell you, going back, because there was a stress of having a location. There was a stress to the financial burden of keeping a location open, and all that goes into that. So I know I'm looking now because our governor just opened it up even more, where now we can have a greater majority of people together, or a greater number of people, I meant to say. So I'm sharing with you, I got a little anxiety going on, saying, oh God, how are we going to do this? We got to go back, because now this has become my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, maybe, I don't know if other people out there watching us have this or not, or how that is for you, if you're experiencing any of that. If not, talk me down.
We got to figure out, each of us individually, what we're going to do and what's going to work best for us. Because on the one hand, I really want to get together with people, and on the other hand, I am not going to have a super spreader event. And
right.
Threading that needle it's been really easy. We're not getting together. We're just not going to do it. There's not nearly enough benefit. But this will.
I love that term, super spreader event.
Yeah, that's because if you want to talk about a relatively large group of people getting together for an extended period of time over an hour, with singing and cheering and hugging, I mean, that's us. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's the very definition of who we are as communities. Yes.
Yeah.
So, see, and it's funny because I don't feel nervous about, hi, Shari. I don't feel nervous about the infection part, the virus part. That, for me. Yeah. But it's just having to go back to all that it took. I, for one, have no problem waking up on Sunday mornings with pajama bottoms on the bottom, dressed on top, and showing up. Oh, let's see. So Andrew Reed says, we kept our circle so small, I get anxiety just watching TV and movies where people gather. Yes, that's true. Oh my God, Andrew, that is such a great point. Now, when I watch certain movies or shows, because I'm in the virus mindset, I think to myself, where's their masks? They have no masks. Of course,
Right.
most of these movies were produced, a while ago prior to the virus. But I agree, it has set a new filter, right? We're seeing through a whole new filter, and it's fascinating. And I for one, am going to be very interested to watch how we slowly crawl out of this. Because the other thing that's happening, I would like to say, I would like to call upon anybody who listens to my show ever, that I implore all of you to do the best you can to try to stay away from the right and wrong. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody agrees on masks. Let's not make the other people wrong. Not everybody's going to get the vaccine. So if we can, let's do the best we can to not create wrong, because then that's just the separation that we've been working so hard to heal and bring people together. So that's just my little plea. Yeah, that's my plea. Thought about that, Bill, or anything else?
Yeah, the same thing. I'm a huge fan of science and always have been. It's no coincidence that the spiritual practice I have is a science of mind.
Right.
And in fact, some people call it religious science, and science is the only word that's in both titles. So I'm a big fan of that. And, the scientists don't know everything, but they're committed to diving deep and figuring out what is.
Right.
So I'm a huge fan of science, and I'm a huge fan of people agreeing with, the results that are coming from science. And like you, I spend a lot of time letting go of judgment and pointing at the TV and screaming, "What idiots," because it doesn't help. The prayers that I do are about harmony and a world that works for everybody, and individual peace and health and freedom. And however that winds up coming about, I let loose my attachment that I already know the answer, and it's got to be my way.
And I want to add in here too, wear masks, don't wear masks, stay at home, come on out, get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine, but know one thing, underneath all of this, your spiritual practice, meditation, regular and consistent prayer treatments activates the vibration of love within each of us, and that vibration will always raise your natural immune. So even we might each be exposed to someone, but not each walk away with something. And one of the ways that we support that is by being in the vibration of love. So while you're doing your work and your due diligence, lift that. You continue to lift that within you. So you are once again, we are at the 34-minute minute of the hour. You are watching Jersey Girl Wisdom. We are on New Thought Media Network. I once again implore you, please stay tuned into the shows, donate, even with this show. If you heard one thing about this show that was valuable, go on to newthoughtmedia.org and donate. Donate a small something now and a small something every time you watch the show. Why? Because we want to keep programming like this alive. We want to support ministries like Reverend Bill's ministry, because we want to keep this movement growing and up-leveling itself. So let me see. We have a quote here.
Yeah, that actually is reminding me of somebody interviewed Thomas Edison, because it took him 10,000 tries, I think, to invent the light bulb. And they said, wasn't that frustrating? He says, no, I now know 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb.
Right.
So it was progress every step along the way. And because he was paying attention, he didn't have to repeat the same mistake over and over again. The science was, let me make a different mistake until I invent the light bulb. And there it is behind us now.
Yeah, and we've been very conscious around it. We've had many conversations in my home, in my community, how while in protecting ourselves from the virus, what's also happened, I've seen a lot less people having colds. I haven't had people having any conversations around flu or the normal things that would have come up in the winter. So clearly in this separation, we've also kept at bay many other things, which is fine by me. So, Bill, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to leave our audience with any last minute thought or a call to action?
Two things. We've been talking about practical prayer and transforming things to online. We do a practical prayer workshop, and it's part of our foundational class, and it's usually like 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday afternoon. And it ends with an interactive process with music. And we're able to connect with each step in the prayer or the spiritual mind treatment and really go deep with the music. We've taught that online, and now I've turned that into a 5-week series. And didn't know what I was going to do for the last of them, but we're really taking advantage of the technology because we're going to be remote. And because I know how to do stuff with musicians, we've got Amy Steinberg to do the music live for us on the 5th one, which is a week from Saturday. And we've just finished rejiggering it so that people can drop in for that for $10 and bring your own prayer into it and deepen into it. And that leverages it out and lets it go.
Oh, you have a queen there too. She was one of my first guests on my show.
Okay, she is absolutely awesome. And we did a winter solstice celebration, and she did the music for it, and it was great to reconnect with her. And she can't play Sunday mornings because she's doing her own thing on Sunday mornings. Right. Here's another opportunity. So, and for me, that's the guidance in the whole thing. Is there's a blessing in this as we're looking for it. There is light, and if I'm looking at darkness, then the light's over my shoulder. I got to turn around.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you for being here. We will be reaching out to you first because I love you, and we've reached out to each other for a number of different reasons over the years, and because we're going to benefit from you as a practitioner of technology. Oh, I like that idea. A practitioner of technology. So thank you all for being here again. I'll be back here next Thursday. Like I said, next week is Reverend Celeste Warner. She'll be joining me. I'll be seeing you Saturday night as I pray in Diego's show with it's Spirit Says Sing is the name of his show. And we'll be seeing you other times. I'll be next Tuesday with Reverend Z and Reverend Robert also. So be well, be loved, and be brilliant. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Peace.
Wanna play? Come to our yard. New Thought Media Network spotlights you. Saturdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, Spirit Says Sing. Our stage is open for musicians, singers and speakers, visual artists, Shine with us live. It's easy. Just click the link in the comments and be ready to soar. Spirit says sing. Saturdays at 6, right here on New Thought Media Network.